everyone, it's Sharonda from Pay or Wait. Today I'm going to be recapping the first episode of BMF, episode 1, See It, Touch It, Obtain It. Y'all was in my DMs. Y'all was like, Sharonda, you going to be doing BMF? Yes, I will be recapping every episode of BMF. I also want to let you guys know I had the chance to interview some of the cast members, so I will be posting those interviews weekly as well, coincided with some of the episodes. So please rest assured you have enough BMF content from me. But we find ourselves at the beginning of this series as it opens. We're in Detroit of 2005, where we see Big Meech got his little fur coat going, got the BMF chain as he's coming back home to Detroit at a black party. And he find himself across the street from where this all began, from where he actually grew up. And so they got him reflecting. You know, you got to reflect on, to appreciate where I'm at now. I got to let you know where I've been, okay? So we see that when we go back to them being young, they were stretched for cash. When Mama told him to go ahead, told Terry to go and use his brother's milk to eat some cereal, I said, that would be tough for me. That lets me know that I had a privileged childhood, that I didn't have to share nobody's cereal milk, even though the cereal milk be the best part of the whole thing, especially if you was eating like Fruit Loops or something. That just has nothing to do with this, but I just wanted to let y'all know that. But we see that Meech is basically lying, saying that he work at Wendy's, knowing that he don't. And so he is basically working with Pat. We see Pat pull up in this car. I think his name is Wood Harris. I always love him as an actor. He pulls up in the car and he was like, you know what? One day I'm going to have a car like that. And they was like, see it, touch it, attain it. And so essentially he says that like getting into that car like that changed his life. And we see this foreshadowing, like how his parents tried to keep Meech and Terry away from one another, that, for them, they had basically given up on who Meech was going to be if he was going to do good in this world. But Terry has always been seen as the one with the brains. He has a promising future. And so we kind of see that evolve as we get to learn more about the relationship between them and their parents as they get a little bit older. And so we fast forward to Detroit in 1980, where we see that, basically Meech and T, they're meeting up with the 12th Street dudes. It's the 50 boys and 12th Street dudes. Those are the two main people that are selling. And so essentially T has this white dude sneak him in a gun to the game at the convention center in case things get out of hand, but he knew that they wouldn't be able to bring guns in because they had to go through the metal detectors. And so basically they're having a meeting because to 12th Street, they want the 50 boys to stop selling in one of their territories. And so, Meech was like, y'all didn't even care. This was a dead territory until we came and started selling. And now all of a sudden you have a problem. And so T gets hot-headed and he pulls out a gun on them and he was like, chill, like, you know what? Y'all can have the territory since you want it so bad. Since now after we didn't brought it up, we can go somewhere else and do it again. But T is like, bro, that's half our earnings. Like, what are you doing right now? Now, side note, they was right when he said take them when he was talking about they raggedy rat tails. I was like, baby, like, I know we all got to start somewhere, but I was like, this rat tail, honey, whoo. But we see that, Meech is trying to tell T, like, we have to think bigger. Like, you have to see the vision of what we're trying to do. But T is just like, that's half of our income. How are we going to be able to make all of it up? But Meech is trying to tell him, like, you need to chill with the gun stuff. That's not you. That's my lane. And you need to get the gun up out of the house before Mama finds it. And then they get upset. But we see, of course, T didn't listen to his brother. It's so ironic. At the end of the episode, when you see T trying to tell Meech, you need to start listening to me more, I was like, well, if this ain't the pot calling the kettle black. I was just a little confused by that. But we'll get to learn more about what T has to say as the season develops. But we see that they're basically... T wants to not go through Pat anymore because they need to be able to buy their own stuff so they can make more money. If they're having to pay or basically rent the drugs from Pat, that's them losing out on even more money because they have to pay them and then go sell more in order to not only pay Pat, but to make sure that they can fill their pockets with cash as well. And so we see a part of, Charles, Meech and T's dad, he don't really mess with Meech. You notice, like, when there was like, whose turn is this to pray when they're having dinner? And Meech is like, I'll do it. And he was like, Terry, say the prayer. Or when his sister is talking about how she needed the money to go on the field trip, they didn't want Meech to give her any money. And so we see that Meech gets upset about this. He's like, you know what? My stomach's feeling queasy. I don't want no food now. And he gets up and he leaves the table. So we see that Lamar, we introduced his character Lamar, who is like whatever y'all saw in this episode, Lamar is even crazier in some of the things that he does as the season unfolds. But we meet Lamar, who we know just got out of a mental facility. And so he goes to get some food. I guess he was like missing his face since he'd been locked up. And so he goes, and Jeremy just sitting there trying to do his job. He done just took over as manager. He's trying to just better the establishment, you know what I mean? But he basically asked for a loose burger, and Lamar insulted him because he was like, it's not on the menu no more. And I was like, low key, I felt that in my spirit, because the way that Taco Bell got rid of the Mexican pizza, that I haven't even been able to bring myself to go back to Taco Bell, because I felt attacked. I personally felt attacked when they took it off their list. But that's besides the point. But Lamar's saying that he's a changed man. I said, sir, how are you a changed man when you literally just assaulted this man because they didn't have no loose burgers? How that make sense for me? But Lamar was like, listen, let me tell you something, baby. When I come back, I'm going to need things to go back to the way they were in this establishment. So we're already getting the insight that, Lamar is probably not a person that you should be messing with in any way, shape, or form. So we see that, Pat kind of gets wind of everything that happened between the 50 Boys and 12th Street in the meeting. And he basically is telling Meech, like, you have to stand your ground. Like, you shouldn't have given them the territory. You got to, like, hit back. But he was like, especially now because Lamar is basically out of the mental facility, it's going to be more people trying to get old territories back. And so basically he needs to make sure that people respect him. And so we get like a little backstory on what happened to him. And so essentially he used to run the corners. And he was terrorizing everybody selling his own stuff. But he caught an assault charge, and then he got locked up. But they pled insanity, and so essentially he got put in a mental facility, and then when they tried to start letting people out, that's how he got out in 2 years. Now, what they said, this man's kidnapped a rapper. He strung him up. He was naked and put him next to a beehive. I was like, how does somebody think of that? Like, who thinks to do something like that? That's how I know Lamar's somebody you probably shouldn't be playing with. But we see that Meech is having a whole conversation with Coach, who we know is a cop now. And essentially, he's having this conversation like a baseball conversation, but it was really talking about the territory, because you saw a lady was basically hating on them and telling them to get up out of there. And so essentially we see later in the episode, that whole conversation led to the cop basically telling the lady that, hey, I'll plant some drugs. He took some drugs from her son. I'll lock him up, like, if you don't leave him alone. So basically, when we see them making money towards the end of the episode, the lady just looking there mad because it ain't nothing she can do about it, because they got the cops on their side as well. I was just like, dang, we just can't never just have a good cop. They always got to just be dirty in some way, shape, or form. But that's how these people thrive. So we see that Terry's in class, and so Terry's really smart, and I like the conversation that they are having about Karl Marx, when they're basically saying, like, man cannot see over his own self-material, like his own material self-interest, and then talking about how some people don't understand the short-term game versus the long-term game. And I like what T had to say, because at the end of the day, sometimes all you can see is what's right in front of you, because everyone doesn't have the same obstacles ahead of them. And, just kind of referencing back to, I like how they talk about this theme of what the American dream looks like and what it looks like for people like them who grow up in these neighborhoods who really don't have that many outcomes that their life can really go. They don't have like this full path and all these different choices that you can make, all these different ideas for them to be better. And so I like the discussion between that. I didn't like the teacher talking about how if you get a good education, you get a good paying job. I was like, y'all, please stop lying to these kids. That is not real life. I feel like I could do a whole hour conversation on how I hate that that's how they teach people, that you get good grades, you go to college, and you're going to make all this money. No, you're going to be in debt, and you're going to be trying to find a good job that can just help you maintain paying back all of that debt to get the good education from the high paying job. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm getting on the tangent, but I really hate when people be doing that, because they lying to these kids, they lying. But the dude Kwame, like, why you in T's business? Because he got a baby on the way. Like, why you pressed about him? Baby, tell me, what are you pressed for? Because he should have beat your ass. I don't condone violence, but I'm just saying, he had like 3 times. He let it, like, he was still going. He was trying to like brush it off, but he kept going. And I was just like, sir, you deserve whatever ass whooping is coming your way. Cause you just in people's business that you don't need to be in it. But that's besides the point. So essentially, the parents end up finding a gun in the house, just like he said his mom was gonna find it in a room, but they automatically assume that it is Meech's gun and not T's gun. And so basically, him and his dad get into it. He didn't have to tell Lucille. He was like, I heard what I said, woman. I was like, who you calling woman? Say it again. Say it again and see if I don't do something. But we see that Meech basically brings up the fact that he knows the house is in foreclosure. He's like, this is why I'm doing this. The house is in foreclosure. And then basically his daddy put him in a good chokehold too. He was like, you raise a fist to me again and I'll beat you like a Negro on the street. I was like, oh my goodness. I had PTSD for a moment because I remember the one time I took the belt from my mama and then I thought I was going to die because I took the belt from my mama when she was about to whoop me. And then I ran in the street. And the white people was looking at me crazy because we live in a white neighborhood. And then she was like, oh, so we snatching belts. You gonna try to fight me I'm gonna fight you like a what? I remember that. It was just like it was yesterday. She body slammed me. I was like, I didn't know you watch wrestling, but she like DDT me to the ground. I'm just, you know what? This is just a moment where I'm just thankful to be alive because I didn't think that I was going to be alive after snatching the belt and running into the street. But once again, you know what? We have gotten off the point, but I just want to let y'all know that you can survive, okay? If I survive snatching the belt, y'all can survive too. So he ends up getting kicked out. He basically leaves, and then we see him, he just getting some good love. They got the little silk sheets and stuff. Monique got the silk sheets. I was like, that's a beautiful woman right there. I think it was Cat. Was that Cat? That was Cash though. I was like, that's a beautiful woman right there. Just that dark melanated skin. I was just like, she's just so pretty. So essentially they getting it on in the boom boom room. And then it's a knock at the door. And I'm like, baby, who knocking on your door when you getting it in the boom boom room? Who is it? It's Lamar. Is Lamar crazy behind him, popped up, okay, looking crazy. You didn't want to make sure that you got a haircut, like looking nice or something before you go see your old thing. He want that old thing back. And so essentially he drops off this bracelet for Zoe, her daughter. And so we see Lamar was like getting it in after he left because she wouldn't let him in the house because of course she was like, you know, her dude there. So Lamar like a little creeper waiting outside the house to see what she was doing. And then he see Meech get out of the house kissing Monique. And then basically he tried to run him over. He was like, stay away from my chick. That ain't what he said, but you know, it's Sunday. I'm just trying to keep PG as much as I can. And so basically we know that there's clearly going to be some type of beef between the two because now you smashing his girl. He already mad that the 12th Street and the 50 Boys and basically took his corners. So we know that Lamar is going to cause a lot more issues. So we see that Charles and Lucille have a conversation. She was getting her little praise and worship on too. I was singing where I was like, in the name of Jesus. Okay. No, like y'all don't know that. We have the victory. I wish I had my organ. Y'all don't want to see me. I played at church. I play the organ too now. I was like, let me get this music going for Sister Lucille while she up here singing. Then Charles gonna ruin the praise and worship talking about how did we lose this? How are we in foreclosure? She was just like, baby, I pay the bills, okay? Yeah, you breaking your back at work, but I gotta make sure that people fed, clothes on their back. They be like, clothes on my back, food on our table, but that's besides the point. And then, you know, he was like, I'm gonna help you, I got this. And then I guess that's her and Lucille on just feeling like her man got her back. And then the Saints was about to get it on in the kitchen. And I was like, not the Saints getting it on in the kitchen. Y'all better take that to y'all bedroom. And so they go to the bedroom because, you know, they say, we gotta keep it classy, okay? The Saints get it on and busy, you know, when they married and stuff. And you know, they had to take it to the bedroom. You can't be letting all the little kids coming up seeing that. So we see that T's girl Wanda, she's having a baby shower. She gets upset because she wants him to stay. But he was just like, we don't do that. And I'm like, it's your kid too. You should have been at the baby shower, but I'm just gonna let it go. But you was in the wrong, T. You should have said if the baby shower was your baby too. I don't know why people feel like, well, I paid this money and I did this. I gave. Okay, but sometimes people just want your presence. Sometimes your presence means more than the monetary contributions that you give. I need that to sink in for some people because for some reason they think giving money it kind of just cancels out them not being there, and I just don't understand. But we see later that they got into it with Kato because Kato was like cutting the price as they were selling because she said the stuff wasn't moving enough. And then we see that they end up coming up with a new plan, which starts bringing in even more money. So they raking in money now. They got bands and stuff. They looking all so fresh and so clean. They was looking good. I said, y'all clean up real nice. They was looking real good. But can we have a moment to talk about how we be using the Lord's words to justify doing bad things? Because when Meech had a conversation with his mom and he started saying the Lord works in mysterious ways, I said, baby, the Lord does work in mysterious ways. You are correct. But I don't think he meant like, you selling drugs to help pay for the house. Like, I don't think that's what the Lord meant. But I know your heart was in the right place. But let's just not condone what you're doing with the Lord's words. And then his mom says, when you get old enough and you're able to see your children make mistakes, then you'll understand why I cannot give you this money. And so we do see that, Meech is trying to have this conversation with Pat at his party, even though T said this is not the right time to be having this conversation. But then Pat decided he was like, the Lord doesn't give you more than what you can handle. I said, once again, y'all, I don't think that's what the Lord meant I don't think that's what he meant, y'all. I don't think that's what and then when he said I just said, oh Lord, let me pray for these people. Let me just say a prayer real quick because they just using these words. It's just, y'all can't use this to justify all the crazy stuff you're doing. But hey, everybody has their right to believe at the same time. And so, side note, Lala stayed with a check. And when Lala popped up, I said, baby, Lala has been in every Black production on Starz, like, I was just like, Lord, I want you to give me the monetary blessings that you give Lala, because she stayed with a roll in the check. I was like, you can't even hate on it, all right? But we see that after he basically tells him no, essentially Meech and T have a conversation, and he was just like, we got to get our independence. Like, this is about fighting for the dream, right? Like, we had to fight. Historically, Black people have had to fight so much to have their own freedom, to have their independence. We still fighting to this day. Child, I know we all tired. But this is tying into how they always had this vision, to see it, touch it, obtain it. And so basically they're going to try to figure out a way to not have to buy from Pat, which I'm sure is going to backfire on them so terribly. But essentially, this is when T tells him, like, you got to start listening more if this is what we're going to do, even though he doesn't believe that this is the right time to do it in the first place. But we see that the next day, we see Wanda ends up having the baby. And then we see that they end up trying to go to a meeting. Meech calls T to come to the meeting with him. And basically, like at the beginning, he said there's nothing that I've regretted. Like, I would do everything the same way over again. But he does say when we see that T goes out to get the pacifier for Wanda before he leaves, someone shoots him in the face. He feels a little reservation about, what happened to Terry. He said if I hadn't told him to meet up with him, then they wouldn't be in the position that they are today, letting you know that something bad eventually is going to come over all of them. And if y'all know the story, then you already know what it is. But overall, I'm invested, okay? I've watched the first couple episodes of the season, and so far they have my attention. I'm not gonna lie, they have my attention. I thought it was really funny, Miles Truitt's character. I was like, he didn't grown up so much. Look at the baby, just grown up. He's just a grown man now before my eyes. When he said, why can't y'all just do normal family stuff like hug? I was like, right, like, let's just get it together. But I'm excited to see what we have in store. Lamar, I know he gonna be some problems for us for these next couple of weeks, but overall, I think it's a good start. I would definitely tell you guys to do your research on BMF. This is loosely based on a true story. They say they changed some stuff, for dramatization, but read up on it, and there's a documentary on it as well. But I'm excited to see what they have in store for us for BMF. And yeah, just let me know in the comment section below, like, what did you think of this week's episode? How do you feel about the series so far? Are you excited about it? Are you not excited about it? Just let me know what y'all thinking, because I need to know what y'all think so I know how I need to just handle this going forward. But those are my thoughts on BMF episode 1. See it, touch it, obtain it. As always, my name is Sharonda from Payroll Waits, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. And until I see you again, bye.